3,500 children in Alberta have just lost their school board through no fault of their own, and I want Alberta education to step up and treat them like any other kids. Now, an external audit of Trinity Christian School Association and their homeschooling affiliate, Wisdom Homeschooling, has allegedly revealed what Alberta Education calls financial irregularities. Now, the province says that Wisdom, which administered and supervised the homeschooling program for Trinity, retained $988,000 in unclaimed parent funding granted from the provincial government. Trinity and Wisdom Homeschooling dispute any financial abuse took place and say that Alberta education rules mandate that any unclaimed funding has to stay within the school. And they say that's exactly what they did. But these newly revealed allegations have led the Alberta government to strip Trinity Christian School Association and in turn Wisdom Homeschooling of provincial accreditation, leaving a full 1/3 of Alberta's homeschooled children, 3,500 kids, in the lurch with no school board and no provincial education, just in the blink of an eye. And families, well, they don't know what to do next. There are some serious questions that need to be answered here by all parties involved. But while the legal and financial issues get sorted out elsewhere by other people, the kids and families of Trinity are left hanging. Let me explain. Parents found out late in the afternoon of October 25th that their children had no school board effective immediately. How these kids and parents found out is in itself problematic. Some parents were robocalled, some parents were emailed, and others found out when friends and family read the information on other school boards' websites. Parents are left feeling disrespected, utterly blindsided, and left completely in the dark. They want to know why they weren't informed earlier about any audit irregularities that could have resulted in the termination of the school board accreditation. And really, they haven't been getting any good answers out of the government. Parents of homeschooled high school students facing diploma exams say their kids need to be registered for their exams in early November. The lack of forethought by the educrats in warning families of these students could actually derail their post-secondary ambitions. And where can all these kids go? Are the other homeschool boards staffed and equipped to handle a sudden influx of 3,500 kids who already have their education plans in place for the year? And should they even have to? Would these homeschooled families be treated with such careless disregard if they were in a public, bricks and mortar traditional school? Would parents in a bricks and mortar public traditional school be notified with just an impersonal robocall in the middle of the week to let them know that their kids are suddenly without a school halfway through a semester? Would an entire public school board be stripped of accreditation for financial irregularities? No way. This is political. It's an ideological attack by the education minister against homeschooled families, and it's been a long time coming. We all know that if this were a public school, the government would have terminated the board and brought in outside managers to make sure the kids and families were not unduly affected by something so far out of their control. The families were doing everything right. They were following the rules exactly the way they're supposed to. But the way the NDP handled this, the kids and families with no school are now left paying the price for any supposed financial irregularities. Now, if the provincial government believes there's truly a fraud taking place at Trinity Christian School, why haven't they been treating the families like the victims of a fraud and with the respect that they deserve? Why did the government swoop in and cancel the education of 3,500 kids for an irregularity of less than $1 million? Well, we know why. These are homeschooled families with parents directing the education of their kids. These are families that don't want a cookie-cutter education at the hands of left-wing ideologues in the education system. They insist on being the ones in charge, and that's in direct opposition to the NDP's government knows best ideology. Worse yet, these are mostly Christian homeschool families, so they're doubly targeted by the NDP. We know the NDP has overt disdain for Christianity. We saw it when they stripped the word Christmas out of their Christmas parties. We saw it when they tried to hijack a motion to support education choice by adding the government as equals to parents as the directors of children's education. We've seen it in the threats levied by the education ministry against a private Christian school that refuses to comply with Bill 10 for religious reasons. But we at The Rebel, we always push back. We believe in parents' rights and religious rights. And when both of those rights are being tromped on at once by the government, we have to act. We aren't going to take this laying down. So here's what I want to do. These kids need to get back to learning. That's the most important thing right now. And that's what Alberta education should have been most worried about. But I don't think the government is doing enough to support these families. I think that's pretty clear. I need you to go to savehomeschooling.com and sign my petition. I'm asking Education Minister David Eggen to enact an immediate interim solution so that the Trinity families can get back to school in their same school board without any disruption. These families shouldn't have to pay for someone else's mistakes. They didn't do anything wrong. If outside managers have to be brought in to manage this school, fine, whatever it takes. I don't know what the exact solution is. That's David Eggen's job. So I'm asking him to do his job, whatever the solution is. It isn't ending the education of 3,500 kids because you don't like how they get their education. Now, I want to get as many signatures as I can this week on my petition. We need to do this fast because the education of 3,500 kids is hanging in the balance. I want to hand deliver the petition with as many names as we can get to Education Minister David Eggen. Let's get one for every kid that has no school board because of David Eggen's thoughtless haste and closeted anti-Christian overtures. And let me be clear, if there are any financial irregularities at Trinity and Wisdom, I hope anyone and everyone guilty of wrongdoing is held responsible and that corrective steps are taken to make sure it never happens in another school again. But none of this has anything to do with the Trinity families. None of this is their fault. The government would never dissolve a regular school at the flip of a switch, and they shouldn't be doing it now just because the school is for Christian homeschoolers. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. Do you want to send a message to Education Minister David Eggen that he needs to back off on his attacks on homeschool families? Go to savehomeschooling.com and sign my petition.